Hey friends, good evening. I'll give people a minute to arrive. I'm going to be talking about suicide this evening. I hear the seriousness even in my tone. I'm going to give people a couple of moments to arrive. And hey Anita, glad you could be here. And Annika's here. Great. Glad to see you. Friends here. Catherine. Hey Catherine, good evening. I'm just giving a couple of minutes. I'm noticing my voice is a low tone. Clint is here and Lucy is here. Ed. Hey Ed. Glad you could make it with us. Hey Lucy. And Dee Dee, long time. Yeah. Hey Clint. I hope you don't mind, friends, that I'm just mentioning people's names. I'm just hanging out for a moment and giving people a moment. Hey, Jen and Catherine Fuller. Hey, Catherine. Holly. Hey, Holly, we've been little friends, I think, since my Tony Robbins tape, if I'm remembering. Sort of caught your interest. I think that was a passionate moment. Many people found me at that moment. Hey, Clara Denise and Rebecca. Shirley. Hey, Shirley. I'm glad that you could make it as well. And Beatrice, long time. Sintra, I won't continue saying names for more than a minute. Let me start by, let me see if I can stop that now from happening. Maybe I can't. Okay, maybe I can't. Ed, hey, what up? What up? It's a good question. Plate has been full, not just with outer activities, inner activities, and Catherine Hyde, hey, a lot, hey Max. Let me say a couple of words about myself. Many of you know me and see me on Facebook or read things about me or listen to videos or watch me on Facebook or own a book of mine or something like that. So my name is David Bedrick, like bedrock, only with an I, Bedrick, hey Carol. And I'm a process worker, technically. That's a kind of a psychological approach, a kind of an offshoot of Jungian psychology. It's a depth psychology that includes issues of body and world and social things. You may learn a little bit more about that from connecting with me in other ways. So many people think of me as a therapist. That's technically not right. It's just the easiest term to use because it looks like that's what I'm doing is therapy to people. So if you know what I mean, meaning that's the form. It's not a coaching form. It's going into people's deeper psychology, depth psychology, I would call it. I have a private practice. Mostly I don't take individual clients anymore. I do something I call intensives. Intensives are people who are going to commit to a certain number of sessions, 4 or 10 or a number of times a month for a year, who want to commit to something around their own soul, a certain kind of depth. I commit to them. It's a kind of a sacred contract. I don't like using the word shaman very much because I'm a white person, but it has like a shamanic contract in a way that we're connected to go through something together. Hey Lisa, and people can do things with me and connect with me outside of sessions. Most of my work is on video conference. Some people by phone, some people locally, but most of it is video conference. People get tapes. I also teach classes regularly. Hey Carlos. So you can connect with me if you're interested in that way, or you can just enjoy the Facebook page and the videos I do. I've written a couple of books. I've been practicing for 20 years. I've written a couple of books. One was called Talking Back to Dr. Phil, Alternatives to Mainstream Psychology. That got published about 5 years ago now. My first book, kind of using Dr. Phil as a straw man to think about psychology differently than the mainstream does. I don't care that much about Dr. Phil per se. It was more using him to, thanks Carlos, to sort of look at mainstream thinking about psychology, TV psychology. And then I published a book a little more than a year and a half ago now, called Revisioning Activism, which is more about psychology applied to social justice and what psychology's role should be about that. So what else? You can Google me. I've written a lot for Huffington Post. I've written a lot for Psychology Today on various different topics. That's another way to get me. And you can scroll down my Facebook page, of course, Laura, and find videos. If you're patient enough to scroll, you'll find videos on a lot of different topics: social justice, healing, psychology. Shame is a big topic for me. Okay, that's a little bit about me. But one important thing to say about myself, given the topic of suicide, is that I have never gotten to the point of planning to, trying to, attempting to take my life. I've never done that. Why is that important to me in the midst of talking about my credentials, as it were, my background in this field? Because there's an authority that people have who've gone through experience. Maybe they've been close to someone. I've certainly counseled a number of people, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet. Or you've been through something, or you've been close to it, or you've tried to kill yourself. Some kind of story that you are close to, that you've ingested, that's been part of your life. That's a kind of an authority, and authority has the word author, intelligence. You can author some knowledge that I don't have. So I don't know you, your personal stories. I don't know what you know. That's very important to me. So when you listen to me as a kind of an authority, an expert of a kind, I think there are great experts in this field, in this field of suicide, but I've had enough experience to have accumulated some thinking and knowledge I'd like to offer to you. But when you think about that, listen to your own soul, your own heart, your own experience over what I say. If something I say resonates for you, great. If something I say you got go, aha, wow, fascinating, never thought of it that way, great. If something you think, I'm not so sure, stay uncertain, stay inquisitive, stay questioning, read, research, ask questions, think, critically think. But I'm just giving you that perspective. I don't know certain things. So that lots of people will say things like, but I have this experience, but I have that experience. And that has to be listened to. When I'm with a person, a client, a friend, clients mostly these days, who is suicidal, I don't lay on them a theory. I don't think this is what I should do. I think, follow them, David. Catch the intelligence, the depth of understanding, the meaning, the power, the beauty, the desperateness in them. Reflect that back. Bring that, integrate that into what you know, David, so you're whole with that person, and each person is different. Okay. That's really important to me. I was thinking earlier about the topic, and I was thinking, why do I want to do this? Who should I do it for? Who am I speaking to? Somebody who's scared, somebody who might hurt themselves, somebody who's lost somebody, therapists. And usually that's pretty clear to me, but it wasn't this time. I didn't have, this is the place to point my lecture, if you will, my intelligence, my thinking, my feeling to. And so I was outside looking at the sky, and I was thinking about a woman who I worked with. I'm allowed to talk to her about her. She took her life at some point. She was very, very ill and very close to her own physically dying. I don't want to say too much about her because of the ethics around that, but not the ethics of being able to talk about her. She was happy to have me talk about her story. But I thought about her when I was looking at the sky, and what would she want me to do? What would she want me to say? And what would she want me to do? From what place in me should I speak from? And she said to me, as it were, people are thinking about this, David. People are thinking about the topic. It's up. Some people in the press, celebrities, have passed, and the issue is touching people. You've been learning something. Whatever it is, bring it out. Speak to the field, the people who want something that you have. There's a lot of things you don't have. Bring in what you've learned. Organize it the best you can. So that's the intention. The second thing that happened when I thought about the talk was a solemnity around death, dying, the seriousness of life itself, and the ending of life, the taking of life. There's a solemnity to that, and that drew me in. I closed my eyes, it drew me into a quiet place, and I began to cry a bit. I'm doing that now, And I thought, oh, the other audience, like Rena, are those who aren't here. The people who have ears, eyes that can listen to this, great. But there are people who aren't here, who have had their life stolen, taken, or taken their own in some way. I'll tell you in a minute why I'm using those different ways of thinking about it. Who are those people? Let's take a moment. Let's see if we can create an atmosphere, even though we're in a Facebook video. Let's see if we can create an atmosphere amongst us that says, let's take a moment of a kind of silence. For those who have been taken, have taken their lives, because the outer hatred, the hatred of them, maybe because of their race or their story or their truths or their gender or their questioning of their gender. Let's take a moment, silence for them. Sometimes I say, the hatred has taken them. Their life may have been taken at their own hand. That's significant. But the hatred that came at them also had a hand. It's important to know that. And how about a moment for those who couldn't get free from something, to follow their path, to use their voice, to do what they were called for, to love somebody, to walk away from somebody, that they didn't have the inner or outer resource to do that, and their life was so unfree from the forces inside and outside of them to make a change that they were desperate to make, that their life couldn't make, that they couldn't make to live, and they took their life. What about those? What about us in those moments when we can't get free? And death might be a sense of freedom. How about those people? And how about those people who have suffered from violence deeply, especially those who've suffered abuse and trauma, heavy abuse, heavy trauma as children, young girls, young boys, physically assaulted violently, sexually, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, wounds that are so deep they could hardly stand it. My friend India, if you're here, we were chatting today, and she said to be sexually abused as a young person, a young girl, she said, you could be fighting for air the rest of your life, she said. That phrase touched me. You could be fighting for air the rest of your life. Yes, those who fought for air couldn't fight anymore. You're not here, but you are. And those who've been through war, the suicides that have happened after war, Iraq War, Vietnam War, oh my gosh, the statistics are very confusing when you look at them. Some people would say, there's differences of opinion, that's why I'm saying that. Some people would say that more vets died from suicide after the Vietnam War than died in the war from the war itself. There's people who disagree with that, but I don't need to prove the statistic. You get the feeling of that, right? Get the feeling of that. There's a thing that ended. Heroes come back. Some of them really are, in the sense of how people think of heroes, maybe all are. But some couldn't cope. Many couldn't. Many couldn't digest the level of violence that they saw or experienced or perpetrated. Yeah. And then some who've experienced generational trauma that they didn't even understand, but came from the Holocaust, from slavery, from violence that happened in families. Why am I in this story of hell? I can't go on. I can't even understand it. A moment belongs to them, and the moment belongs to those who are invisible, right? They can't be seen. They were never seen. We didn't see them. I didn't see them. Culture didn't see them. They were invisible. And sometimes invisibility is a great cloaking device. Sometimes invisibility develops a certain power in people, and sometimes people can't bear not being seen. If you don't see me, I don't know that I can live. That's not a small thing. I don't really exist if I'm not seen. That's a principle in the universe. Things need to be witnessed to be alive, to be themselves, whether that's by God, by your own heart, by someone else. Those who are invisible. And those who have experienced psychic pain, depression, inner hatred, mental diagnoses that carry pain with them, that are so profound. More profound than I know, other than the people who brought their pains to me. No matter what I would do with that person, they come back, I'm in this agony. And then I have to stop and listen and go, oh my gosh, the pain that you've suffered. I'm moving my camera, I see a strange light, and that's coming, oh, it went away, great. That pain, whew, that pain. And some who've been in physical pain, physical illness, that has either taken their energy or put them in great pain or made them so tired, made them not be able to feel a sense of life in their step, in their moments, in their relationship, etc. A moment for those aren't here. I'm sorry to take, not sorry, but I'm acknowledging that I'm taking time, 15 minutes, just to set a stage. But my heart, my soul, the spirits that I talk to wouldn't let me just go without doing that. They're here, their intelligence, what they know on the other side, what they knew before they got to the other side. Can I touch that? Can I channel that a little bit? That would be great. Okay. Somebody says they need to step away. Yeah. Let's take a moment. Take a breath. Touch yourself. Some people want to touch their chest. Touch your head. Stroke your hair. Touch your arm. Because touch is so important. A hand touching a body. A proper touch, you know what I'm talking about, can be a lifesaver. Somebody touch somebody. Somebody needs to touch somebody sometimes, Maya Angelou said. Just a touch. Okay. I want to give you some general ideas. I'm going to shift a little bit and go into my head a little bit. I like my head. Some people don't like thinking so much. I like thinking also, and things I've learned. I want to tell you some things that are general ideas that I think need to be said to hold the topic. General ideas. Social justice, everybody. Most of my friends know that. There's hatred for groups, for black bodies, red bodies, yellow bodies, brown bodies. You all know that. There's hatred. I'm using the word hatred as a strong word. Marginalization, dismissal, pain, suffering, just systems that are unfair. There's a kind of a lens and energy that comes out people that can kill people. If we turn suicide only into an individual psychological issue, what's happening to me? What's happening to me? What's wrong with me? There's things to look at individually. We will. But somebody should say, are you black? Are you brown? Were you poor? Were you homeless? Was your parent homeless? You get the picture. Were you a woman? Were you gay? Were you trans? Were you lesbian? Were you questioning? Were you non-binary? Somebody asked those questions. We have to think, open our minds to those questions so we're not only reducing to individual issues, we're understanding a culture that is deadly. I may take my life with my hand, but it's not only my hand. There's a hand that's deadly, that's part of the culture, that's woven into my hand that takes that life. Okay. We also live in a culture of hiding, of deep, deep shame around what some people would call darkness, illness, depression, pain, disability, etc. A culture that smiles for the camera. Hi, everybody. Here's my picture. Here's my selfie. I'm always smiling, looking good, even though inside I'm in agony, not sleeping. For me, I don't sleep very much, or whatever your thing is. Deep pains. I have pains in my body that don't go away. I worry about what's happening to me. My memory has not been as good lately. Is something happening to me? I'm not only a smiling person who's doing well. That needs to be out. Otherwise, we create a culture where the difficulties don't show up. Where difficulties don't show up, silence enters, not the peaceful silence. Invisibility enters. Shame enters. a culture that doesn't want to see other than a smiling face, that wants me to be thin and pretty and stand on the scale and look right and give you the diet that I had that helped me lose weight and shows you what I've done to become more productive. And all that stuff, that society that's so bent on those ideas is deadly. That's not innocuous. That's not benign. Okay. Shame is so huge around the topic of suicide, so huge. How come so huge here versus others? Because we live in a world that has ideas about suicide that come from different areas. Many religions and religious ideas think that suicide is a bad thing, a criminal thing, an evil thing, a spiritually improper thing. Can you follow that? That's fine. I'm not putting down anybody's religion. But then if I feel like killing myself, I'm living in a world that says, you're a bad person. You're spiritually screwed up, broken, evil, immoral. That's difficult to look at and go into the issue of suicide then in a culture that has that. Or a culture that has morals. A moral idea. Don't kill yourself. It's bad to kill yourself. We don't want you to kill yourself. That's great. That's great. I'm glad people don't want to kill them. Don't want people to hurt themselves, kill themselves, lose their lives. But that energy, it's the energy of, it's wrong. It's sin. Thank you, Lynn. It's wrong. Don't do it. That I'm so one-sidedly against it as a principle makes me not open to a person who brings a suicide interest, compulsion, impulse to me. Bring shame. Legal issues. Gosh, if you kill yourself, you then insurance, the medical insurance doesn't collect, etc. The legal world takes suicide not as a good thing, as a bad thing. The medical system, if you take your life, if you lose your life, it's a failure. It's a failure. We failed. I failed if you kill yourself. The medical system has failed if they can't make you better. The sense of failure if we can't make people better is around. And then, as many of you know, there's this immense spiritual bypass. Do this. Look at the light side. Find the meaning. You know, all the ideas that bypass that. So we have, in summary, religious ideas, moral ideas, legal ideas, medical ideas, spiritual bypass ideas. All of those, if I embody all of those, I say, you come to me suicidal. And what I want to communicate to you, what I do communicate to you is bad, no good, sin, wrong, stop you. That's not only bad, but then the person starts feeling bad about themselves. Something's wrong with me. This is not good. And then the person is likely to take their impulse to kill themselves and not show it to me. That's dangerous. What else can I do? Isn't it a bad thing? Don't we want to stop people? Yes, most of the time we do, but the attitude itself brings a shame. We need to dispel that attitude if we're going to work with that issue deeply, in my view. Okay. Social justice, culture that hides the darkness, shame. Last general principle is medication. So many people feel ashamed about using medication. I am so not against medication. Let me say it again. I am not against medication. Some people, it's better to not use medication. Some people, it's better to use medication. Some people, it's good to use it for a while. Some people, it's good to be free to use it for the rest of their life. Some people, it need to be support to get off of medication. It's an individual issue. I have social ideas. My politics, I don't like what the FDA has done. I don't like the way drugs have been sold through the pharmaceutical industry too readily. So I have a social idea that I don't like some of the pharmaceutical industry and the way it's gone. But, big but, friends, big caveat, to an individual, my politics are irrelevant. If Jane Doe comes to me, I don't think, well, the society is trying to sell her on medication. I listen to her. Can you follow? It's her that I'm interested in, not my politics anymore. My politics are irrelevant in that moment. I'm looking at a person. And if Jane says to me, do you think medication would be good? And I say, what do you think? And she says, I just wish I didn't have to use it. It would be better if I didn't have to use medication. Listen to me. A lot of my friends think it's not so good. People say it's not good. Medication it will hurt me. That's a person who's against using medication, who might need more freedom to use medication. I'm not saying they should. Can you follow the idea? That person has a bias against it. I'm not interested in their bias. I'm interested in them, what's going to serve them, what's going to befriend them. And it could be somebody else who's saying, everyone tells me to use medication, and I don't really think I need that, and I've been using it, I don't think it really helps, and you think etc. That's a person who's been told, who's bought a story that they shouldn't, that they should have it, and it might not be right for them. I have talked to too many people over the years, on Facebook and clients, who have shown me, whenever I've been ignorant about that, how much medication has helped, how it has saved their lives. They are still here. Yes to that. Yes to the medication. Careful with our politics is what I'm saying when we're talking with an individual. Okay. Thanks for hanging in, friends. I know this takes a while. What can I say? I always think I should do something shorter, do one question, 5-10 minutes. I watch videos if people can do something short. I guess it's not in me. Okay. What can you do? In my mind, there are a few overall principles about how to approach a person who has an impulse to take their lives, to kill themselves, a suicidal impulse. There's so many things we could say, and so many things you know. Remember that. But let me tell you a few things. 2 things are feeling attitudes. Feeling attitude 1, an openness to the path of dying. An openness to the death as a path. That means somebody comes to me and there's a suicidality in that person. That's some feeling quality in me. It's not a thought, it's a feeling. If I can express it, it'd be something like, some part of me is open to the possibility that may be the right way for you to go. Friends, I shouldn't say that because I want to stop people from killing themselves. I will talk about that in a moment. It's a feeling attitude that when I'm like that, people are more open with me, feel less shame around me, are more willing to talk to me. I might even save their life that way. So I'm not promoting, yes, go ahead, kill yourself. This is not light stuff we're talking about. I'm just saying something in my heart swallows the medicine, the possibility that might be in their path. So when they're in my presence, I'm not only against them, their impulse. I'm not only for it. Okay. Feeling attitude 2. When a person is close, they're planning something, for me, I lose the theory and it becomes personal. That's a person I know. That's a person who's talking to me for some reason. I want to communicate that my feelings about that person. Your people are important to you, your kids are important to you, all that's great. And from a feeling level, I connect with my feeling about that person on a personal level. Maybe because it's a life that I can connected with the moment that came to me. Maybe it's because a person I know for years. I bring out my feelings. This is what it would mean to me to lose you. This is how important it is for me to have this time with you. It's kind of the other side of that openness, but I'm not trying to lay something on that person. It's a personal feeling thing. Those are 2 feeling attitudes. The third thing is not a feeling attitude. It's a mental capacity. It's like awareness. What does awareness do with a person that's suicidal? Awareness stays aware. That means when you say to me, let's imagine a dialogue. Somebody says, I feel like I want to end my life. Yeah, I'm going to exaggerate. I'm not exact. I'm going to be a little more mechanical than I would be, less feeling, because I want to demonstrate what the awareness does. Oh, you're wanting to take your life. Tell me more. Well, I'm in a lot of pain. You're in pain. I'm taking that in. I want to know about your pain, etc., etc. Do you imagine killing yourself in a certain way? Yes. I imagine taking pills. You would take pills. You would take pills. And then what would happen? You would take the pills. What kind of pills? Would you put them by your desk? Tell me about the pills. Why am I saying all those details? Because my awareness does a lot. People feel seen, and it makes a space for people to enter all those shameful details. Can you follow? And what am I doing? What am I modeling in this moment? I'm modeling just mirroring back what that person's doing. I'm not adding to it, subtracting to it. And then what would happen? Then I'd fall asleep. Close your eyes and fall asleep a little bit with me. Just drop out. Now what happens? I don't know. You don't know yet. I'm feeling a little light. You don't know, then you start feeling light. I'm just giving you an example. Awareness is such a potent healing quality. I'm not adding or subtracting to that. I'm just seeing the person, making a space for the suicidality to feel like it's seen, not in a good or bad way. It's being seen. I'm interested. I care about that person's experience in a profound way. Okay, how to help? Can we handle 15 more? I'm sorry. I'm wanting, some part of me is like, don't take so long. Make the video more available to people. If you covered less, make it into 3 videos. It's not going to happen that way. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Carolyn. Carolyn, I just saw your thing. Carolyn Avalani. I just want to say, a number of people raised questions, and I asked for questions. Usually when people ask questions, I cover the questions. Okay, so-and-so's questions. Okay, so-and-so's questions. And I redress that. I'm not doing that tonight. Something different happened for me. Though every question was worth dealing with, but something in me took in all the questions for some reason, digested those, and said, this is the kind of information, the kind of feeling, the kind of expression, the kind of ritual that would come out of me to try to address all of those with what is deep inside of me. So I'm sorry I didn't address the individual questions. This is how I am. Hey, Jai. Oh, my pace is just right. Thanks. Appreciate that. Give my critic a little push, and your love is appreciated. Yeah, usually I'm also faster, but the topic doesn't do that to me. Okay. Depth psychology, process-oriented psychology that I practice, Jungian psychology, depth psychology. What does depth psychology do? Add, in my view. Some people would say different things. Look, I got to get my pens because I got to do a demonstration. Okay. What does depth psychology do? In my view, not everyone would agree. This is not like something written down somewhere that I know of. I'm adding it. Somebody else might say the same thing, but it's not like this is the information I read it somewhere. What does depth psychology do? From David's point of view, David's point of view looks at, see if we can detach a little bit from the feelings. Depth psychology looks at the person's process, what's going on in the person's dreams. In the dream, there's going to be somebody trying to kill somebody, or somebody who somebody whose life is in pain, and somebody who can take that life. Oh, are you saying, David, that when we're thinking about suicide from a depth psychological perspective, there's not just a person suffering, hated, having difficulties, etc., being compelled to die in some way, that there's also something that can take their life? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Here's a person who's suffering. Oh, goody, it depends. Here she is, deep depression. Here she is, black, trans man. Here he is, some man abused as a child, a culture that doesn't look at men's abuse so well or easily. Great pain. How does that person die from suicide? They die because something in them, I'm going to call it their hand, right? They use their own hand to take that life. Careful, everybody. Careful with this thinking. Think, open your minds and hearts. Use your awareness. Here's a person. Here's Jane Doe. Here's Jane Doe's hand that could take this life. Push her off a bridge. Drive her to the bridge. Turn on the gas. Take out the knife. I don't want to add more details because ways people hurt themselves, take their lives, because I don't want you to get too caught in that. You get the idea. Inside Jane Doe, remember there's an outer scene. I'm just going inside now. From the depth perspective, there's a person whose life is going to end and a person who can end it. That is no easy thing, folks. It's no easy thing to take a life. I've met many people who could not do it, so to speak. Could not do it, so to speak, meaning had the impulse, the wanting to, etc., could not do it. Even, hey, Angelica, even soldiers often can't pull the trigger, and they've been trained to pull triggers. It's hard to take a life. It's still killing. I'm not saying immoral. I'm not being moral. Killing is bad. I'm not being moral about that, bad or good. I'm just saying inside a person, there's that. Why is that so important to me? Because two reasons, and then there's many more. One reason, because if we forget, here's Jane Doe. Jane Doe's in a lot of pain. Jane Doe's saying, I'm planning to take my life, and tells me she has a plan on how she's going to do that. She's going to do that in the next couple of days. She's going to do that tonight, whatever she's saying to me. Then I know that Jane Doe, and then I decide, ooh, Jane Doe, tell me about your pain. And let's say she does. Let's say I could create a space. That's not an easy thing to do. And she tells me her pain and her difficulty. Oh, good. She feels better. But what about the part of Jane that made that plan? What about the part of Jane that can implement that plan? That person who can pull a trigger, who can take the action. If I only focus on this and don't focus on this, thank you, Catherine, and if I don't talk about the person who can do it, I'm not talking to a person who has the power to take a life. That person may walk out of my life too, out of my session, and now this person says, I'm still committed to taking your life. I'm still going to do it. That's no small thing. I better talk to that person. Hey, Paul, I better talk to that person who's capable of doing that. How do I do that? I'm thinking of a person, thinking of a number of people. Tonight I'm going to blend people together into not any one person, into a kind of generalized client based on this particular scenario. A person comes to see me and says, I want to take my life. Do you have a plan? Yes. What's your plan? I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. Okay. Then I would take a chair, I've done this many times, and I put it next to the person. And I say, you are in so much difficulty, pain, you would want to end your life. Yes. Something in you can do that. Can I talk to that person also? Whoa, I've never done that before. Please have them sit here. At least let's make believe they're here. I'll stand there. You're in pain, I'll do it for you. I'll implement it for you. How can you do that? What enables you to do that? What enables you to pull the trigger? How are you going to drive that person? How are you going to turn on the gas? How are you going to drink those things? What do you have in you that can do that? I want to know that person. It's hard to say more about that without a specific story, and I'm leaving something out because I don't want to. But you get the idea. There's someone who can take a life. That's very important. So I don't only want to be empathetic with the pain. I want to be empathetic with a person who can do something intense, take a life, stop something dead. I want to do that. So, one, if I'm not depth psychology, 2 parts, person who will die, person who can take that life. Let's say, let's call it that. Words are difficult here because there's many different words that will get us confused, but you get the idea. One, I want to make sure I'm talking to both people. I don't want the person walking out feeling better. Some people, by the way, not much, but the data about antidepressants. Some people take antidepressants and take their life after. What seems to be what we know. That's not a lot of people. I'm not antidepressants, basically. So I'm just going to give you this one little detail. Why? Some people feel better. Why would they kill themselves after they feel better? Because they feel more empowered, more alive. It's something they've been wanting to do. I feel strong enough. Now I'm going to do what I think needs to be done. That person I want to talk to. Okay. Some people do take their life and feel more able to do it because they feel stronger. Okay, that's right, Violet. There's a dialectic there. Why else do I want to contact it? That person who can take a life is powerful. One person, victim is a wrong word, it's been pejoratively judged. A person who's hurting and suffering, that person might not be very powerful. And if that person wants to make deep changes in their life, let's say that person's in a relationship that's terrible, awful, disgusting, their life doesn't feel alive, but they can't leave. I'm in so much pain with this person. I can talk about this relationship. You don't know how much pain I am being with this human being that I'm living with. Their violence or whatever they're doing, that puts me in so much pain. That person's in a lot of pain. They are not very powerful. I want to... Can you leave the relationship? No, it's too much for me. It's too hard for me. Killer comes in. Person who can take a life. Killer is too wrong. Person who could take a life comes in. You can't get out of the relationship? I'll get you out. Really? How will you do it? It's not exactly like this. I'm giving you a frame. How will you do it? With a gun. With this. With that. Whoa. Maybe that would be worthwhile. Maybe it would be better. I can't get out of this. I'm living in a hell. You can get me out. I can get you out. Now, if I'm talking to that person and I can talk to this person I could say, you can pull the trigger? You can take that person's life? Yes. How about if we take the life of that relationship? How about if we leave? She can't do it. Don't make her. He can't make it. Don't make her. But you could do something radical. You can end the whole damn thing. You can say, bang, done. We're done with everything. Yes, I can do that. We need you. Please show up on the scene. We need you. Can I empower you? I'm not talking to you only now. I'm worrying about your pain, but this is the answer to that pain in this case, not all cases. Can I empower you? Can I grow this sense of power you have to say, no, definitely not, end, zero, absolute, no freedom, no tolerance, dead, gone? I need you. Can I empower you? Can I work with this part of you until he's strong enough, she's strong enough, so you can help that person take an action? So I'm talking about why the depth psychology, in my view, needs this particular thing. Whew. Oh, Lisa Jones is writing. I'll buy it. Yes, I got. Thanks, Lisa. Hey, Shay. Thanks, friends, for hanging in. Taking a moment. I'm breathing. I'm checking in with those who aren't here. Is this what I'm supposed to be offering? Yeah. If your passion, the word passion is rooted to the word blood. If your passion is in it, the Spirit says, give it. If your passion's not in it, drop it. Okay, I'm trying to do that. Okay. I want to talk about, there's so much to give, therapeutic patterns. Therapeutic patterns. Hey, Marion. Yeah. The ritual for all those who connected to your own desire to hurt yourself, take your life, have your own history of it, or people around you. Hold that with the deepest heart. Take the intelligence, the feeling, the rituals, the ideas, the best you can. Carlos, I appreciate that, Carlos. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. Okay, therapeutic patterns. There's way too many for me to give, but I want to give a few that I've seen many times. Therapeutic patterns meaning what I see and how that gets helped. I'm just going quotes because the idea that I can help itself should stay a little bit humble because this force is bigger than me. Force is bigger than that person's life in their own life. This force is bigger than me. Helped. But this may help you to frame certain thing. By the way, Lisa Blair, my partner, did a video yesterday. I'm going to post that also soon. And she's covered some of these pieces. I don't know exactly what, but this one, the first one I'm going to say, first two I'm going to talk about, but slightly different. So maybe you'll get some different frameworks. She has a different feeling quality than I do, and a different style of communication, so you'll get different lenses towards the issue. Okay, therapeutic pattern 1. I call it let's die. Let's die. Some people have an impulse to end their life that's rooted in, whether they know it or not, unconscious or not, that's rooted in a desire to connect with something outside this life. Yeah. Janet says, do you worry about encouraging the killer part to take the life? Yes, Janet. Yes, thank you for saying that. So much so that dialogue is sacred, tender, and my personal feelings about the person have to come in there, and how close the person is to taking their life. So many things. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, let's die. This lenses. Some people, I'll say, this is usually not a person who's super imminent, whose suicide is super imminent. I'm going to die tomorrow. I'm taking my life. I have a plan. This is a person who says, I just don't think I want to live. And they're telling me about not wanting to live, and they're talking about that for a while. And I'm just feeling energyless. There's nothing in life for me anymore. I feel a sagging, a down, or I'm getting aged, or something like that. Or I've been chronically ill for a long time. There's a long-term pattern that person starts talking about not wanting to live. With that kind of person, I might. There's no must here. There's no like this, do this. I'm just giving you frameworks that sometimes are helpful. Why? Because I want to expand your mind This is another thing Spirit told to me earlier. I want to expand your mind and consciousness about what suicide is all about, so you go deeper into it and you say, whoa, it's a broader world, a more fascinating world, a deeper world, a more loving, passionate, intense, painful world than I knew about. If I can open your eyes and heart to see it differently, then maybe that you'll treat people differently. Even if you can't remember the details, you'll kind of go, oh, something has shifted in me about how I see this. If I can do that, I'm super happy. Okay. So that person I'm talking about, I might say, maybe it's time to die. Close your eyes. Let's die together. I'm summarizing how I would do that. It'll be different for different people. If that person did close their eyes, I'd say, great. It's time for you to go. I might even do a little eulogy if I knew them. Yes, you've been this kind of person. You've this life. You had these successes, etc., etc. I'd say to that person, don't think about the people that you would lose and the foods you wouldn't be able to eat and the people who need you. That's not this exercise. Just let go. There you go. And if I see them, I say, there you go. You're going now. Yep, Jane Doe. Jane Doe's not here anymore. She's gone somewhere else. And now I'm guiding her gently out of this world. Sometimes I'll work with a person, some of you knew Kathy, who I worked with for a while, and I did a eulogy for her, a service for her, Catherine. And before she allowed me also to talk about it, before she had lung cancer and might die, many times we did a dying meditation. Many times we say, what would it be like? And we try to, Lynn says escapism. Maybe, Lynn, maybe. For some people, but not the person I'm talking about, Lynn. Maybe using the word escapism. It's not about escape. This person goes, they get quiet, and I say, what's happening? And that person describes something else. I feel a peace. I see stars around me. I see a great light. There's a hum. I feel like I'm dissolving, and there's not me any left, and I'm expanding into the universe. Jesus is here. I see the water. I see a bird. I'm flying. I'm floating. These people, this moment, a person is connecting with something out of this world, not in this mundane world, and they need that connection. That is not a psychological issue. It's almost always a spiritual issue. That person needs connection, is desiring for connection with things not here, not my partner, not my job, not my responsibilities, not my whether I do things well or not all those things. Yes, Paul, something else, something not of this world. It's a spiritual thing, a faith thing for that particular person. And that person needs to connect with that. And when they're having an impulse to leave, it's deep down, they're saying, and they might not know it yet, I want to live somewhere else also. And then I say to that person, I don't only like living in this world, I try to keep one foot somewhere else as often as I can, and that's true of me. And I do regular, it's one of the main things I do, is I do a dying meditations for myself regularly. Go ahead, die, David, what happens? Connect with something that's not about Donald Trump and the politics and whether I'm a good husband and whether I'm a bad husband and whether I did a good job today. Connect with something else outside the whole thing. Hey, Shoshana. Okay. Number one. Oh, I have like 6 of these and they're going to take so long. I know, critic, I know. We're doing our best. Okay. That's a deep thing. You can do that with yourself. Transcendental impulse. Thank you, Joy. That's right, exactly. It's an impulse for something else, and sometimes people don't know it. They just think, why am I feeling so down? I don't want to do this. Nothing means anything. Nothing means anything to me. That person could need meaning, or they could mean to have nothing meaning. That means don't care about anything of this world. Okay. Thank you, Sintra. Okay. Pattern 2, radical change. Remember I was talking about that part that can take the life? That can say end something? Sometimes a person, I connect with that part of them, and they're like, I can't take it anymore. And say, yes, that part of you can end the life. That's it. I can't take it anymore. I can't take this job. My parents wanted me to do this job. I never wanted to do that job. I can't get out of the damn job. I'm in this relationship. I'm having this, whatever. I'm in these certain places in my life. I'm still have these same patterns over and over and over. I can't stand it anymore. I still do the same relationship patterns. I still, whatever it is, I still have these things. I try to deal with my illnesses. Same thing happens. I can't stop the damn thing. I'm living in a pattern that's highly locked in. Maybe there's a trauma in the background. So I'm locked into being a certain kind of person. And I don't want to be that person anymore. That person doesn't need to be rescued. They want to make a change. I want to connect with that part that can take the life and say, yes, let's end that pattern. Not their person, not their physical life. Let's end that pattern. Yes, let's kill it. That's it. No more. Next time I think about, imagine taking care of somebody. No freaking way. Yeah. Shoo, bang, dead. It's over. This is over. I'm trying to give you the energy of that part that can take a life and where that person needs it. They need that brought in and supported. I once worked with a person who just that, he lived his parents' way of living. He couldn't get out of that. He couldn't make changes. He was in a job. He was in relationships that he didn't like, but his parents liked them, etc. He's all these different things. He needed to break that. He needed his bang energy, his pull the trigger energy to do something that his parents didn't want him to do. Why? Is that a big thing? Is what his parents want him to do? In him it was. He couldn't break out of that particular pattern. He ended up leaving a job, traveling, getting into relationships with people that his parents wouldn't have liked at all, etc., and doing all kinds of things. He broke the pattern. Some of those things were a little bit dangerous. Some of those things weren't only good for him in most people's minds, but it's the pattern that he was locked into was deadly. Can you follow? And something him could make that change. Sometimes there's something in us that can make a change. It can say to our inner critic, that's it. I will not stand for this self-hatred one more effing day. Zero. That comes up, I'm going to take a ball and smash it against the wall. I'm going to break plates. I'm going to scream. People will hate the way I act for the next 2 years because I'm going to be so ugly. I'm doing it. Can you get the idea? Okay. Radical change. That person has something that could take a life. They need that supported, and they need help to make a radical change. That's different from giving empathy about the pain. Oh, poor you. That's not what's needed. Oh, you're a powerful person. I didn't know that about you. The part of that's suffering is not so powerful. The part that can take a life is damn powerful. Great. I'm moving a little bit faster. Pattern 3. Something is killing me. By the way, I've never framed these things like this before. I spent the last days and then a lot of today trying to lay them out and organize the knowledge, the thinking, my experiences. So there's nowhere this is written that I know of. It's just me sitting and thinking, how do I organize the ideas in a way that I can offer it so that, one, some of the ideas might resonate for you. Hold on to those, forget all the others. Maybe only the opening of the minute of silence is all that resonates for you. Take that, nothing else. But then all of these have a reframe. All of these ideas frame the suicide issue in another way, different from the mainstream culture and what we're hearing all day long. So that's my bigger intention, is for you to kind of go, whoa, that blew my mind. Okay, 1 idea, 2 ideas, all the ideas. Something is killing me. You know that social hatred, again, whether you're black, red, brown, whether you're gender questioning, sexual identity questioning, we know that there's a higher rate of suicide amongst many different people. And I'm thinking, for some reason, not only one reason, I'm thinking about clients that I've worked with who are questioning their gender identity in some way, their sexual preference in some way. So important. There's so little support for that in them. There's so much shame, violence, neglect, abandonment. People are going to leave me. Family's not going to love me. There's so much ignorance and hatred and phobias in the culture. That person might not be able to bear that. That person needs something. Often they need a social thing. They may need a group, people who are more like them, people who understand that. Something else might be needed there other than my individual therapy. There's an amazing internet site. It's called It Gets Better Project. It Gets Better Project was started by 2 gay men, a young male, teen, I believe he was, took his life, and these 2 gay men did a YouTube video, and they said, hey, you may be a teenage girl, boy, thinking you're lesbian, etc. Please don't take your life. There might be a moment when it'll change. Maybe you'll leave that small town, bigoted place and your parents who can't understand you and go to college and meet a group and there'll be a gay group or something. You may be able to, please don't kill yourself now. It may get better. It's amazing. They start off with one video. I think there's like 50,000 now, from people like Ellen DeGeneres and Barack Obama and senators to like 13-year-old girls who are talking about it. It's glorious. I listened to one a day for a year, listening to those people. Immense help listening to that. Social change. That person needs to know there are others like them. That's a big thing. Okay. There's more to say about that, but there's powers that can hurt people. And then that person, I don't only want to talk about their ability to hurt themselves, to take their lives. I don't want to only talk about their suffering. I want to help protect them from the world. Yes, I know. The world is so stupid, so ignorant, so hateful. It infuriates me. I want to channel my upsetness and my fury about that social situation so they feel a force that's not about their internal life only. It's about a social force that would hurt that person. Okay, I'm going to, okay, I'm going to say 3 more. It's going to take me a little longer, but I don't want to leave them out. That's the way it goes. I'm just going to make them a little shorter. Some people decide after a long life that they would like to end their life. Let's imagine it's the right thing. Let's imagine, I'm thinking of a person who was sick for a very long time and was probably going to die shortly. I'm thinking of Stephen Levine, one of the most brilliant people writing about death and dying ever, in my view. He took his life before he would have biologically died. Let's imagine that person. They're ready. It's their time. Let's imagine a conscious act that's a good act, not a bad act. I know people have religious ideas about that. Put them aside. That person might feel a compassion for themselves and others around them. They might feel a spiritual correctness, it's my time. Or, and this is the one I want to highlight, or they might feel a sense of empowerment. I haven't felt very powerful in my life. Now I do. I can make a decision about what happens to me. I can make a decision about whether I suffer more. I don't have to listen to doctors. I don't have to listen to friends. I don't have to listen to therapists who want to keep me alive and in the background, and that's their bias. I can make a decision about myself. There's an empowerment in there, a big, big, huge decision. I get to decide. I've seen that pattern. And it's an important one, and a respect. Maybe I can help that person get more empowered in their life, but maybe not. In that case, no shame, in my view. Next pattern, I call it, I can't stand the pain. The pain, psychic pain, let's take it that, the depression, let's say, it's so unbearable, it's too much for me. I can't stand the pain. Which one did I have? I can't remember. It's this person, not this person. It's this person. I can't stand the pain. It's not about some huge force that can take their life. That's where they are. In those situations, one of the things I try to do is witness the pain. Very few people have had the pain, the excruciatingness, the profundity of the pain they're in witnessed. Why not? Well, all kinds of reasons. Many people don't want to hear pain and look at another's pain. Surely that's one reason. But because they've never expressed it. Because if I tell you, oh, I'm in so much pain, I'm depressed, and you say, oh, I know what you mean. You don't. Yet. Because every depression is generalized, but idiosyncratic to that particular person. And then I'm thinking of another client that I work with, and then I say to that person, I want to feel it with you. What's it like? And they might say, it's like a knife, it's this, it's that, it's being wrung, it's in agony, I'm on fire, all kinds of things. And then at some point, hey, Holly, I want them to share their pain in certain ways. And one of the ways that's most useful to me, and it's not the only way, but I want to give it to you because it'll give you a feeling. One of my ways is for people to make sound. Why is sound so important? Because sound is like a sound barrier. It breaks through the being. If you heard an animal in pain, you kind of go, ah, right? You hear an animal whining in pain. It goes right into your heart somehow. Many of us, that happens. It's like, you wince. And that wince shows the person you hear their pain, so that the person can kind of go, ah, or scream, ah, or something. I'm trying to do a little bit of it. I'm not giving myself the freedom to do it more. I should, but I'm not going to at the moment. If I can show that, and you can feel that, I will feel seen for that pain. That might help. Help meaning my person might decide not to take their life. It might not, but it might. I've seen some people feel hugely relieved that they made the sound that I heard and their own ears heard. No one has ever known. It's all inside. I can't stand the pain. Okay, last one. No, I'm not going to do the last one. That's interesting. Okay. I want to. I'm not going to. No, I think that's a good place to end. Whew. 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 Friends, I usually say, and I didn't say earlier, share the video. This is a free offering. I always say to people, some people pay for me to work with them privately and video and conferencing and doing things and classes. Some people either can't afford my viewpoint. Some people don't need it. Good for them. They shouldn't have it, and you may not need it. Don't share it. But it matters to me that people get their points shifted, their paradigm shifted, their hearts or minds, their awareness shifted. So if you would, share the video. Tell people this is something to listen to. It's a topic of the moment so that other people will get what I'm giving here, the time I've put, gets spread out. It gets a web and builds relationship. Maybe people will share it and people will talk about it. That's all good. Maybe people will hear other videos, etc. Maybe my own community will build and people say, that's interesting. I'd like to be part of a community that's talking about those kinds of things. Whatever it is, I'm just asking you as a reciprocity, if it's right for you. Thank you, David. I think I'm going to share this so that other people can hear these kinds of things and learn with me. That's an appreciation. Love you all. Take care of your hearts. Take care of your life and your bodies. Don't shame your impulses to take your own life. Get to know them as deeply as you can. Care about the livingness of you and your friends. Tell them how much they mean to you, how much your own life means to you. Follow into the darkness those directions so that people's intelligence comes out. They're not all wrong and stupid and bad and for doing what they're doing. People have deep motivations and impulses. Love you all. Take care. Good night.